at this. This is the road from Nakuru to Nairobi in the middle of the day, 1 o'clock. It is just like this all the way, bumper to bumper. We've been, all we can think of is they're going up towards Uganda and Ethiopia on the one side, South Sudan on the sort of on the top end, and Uganda on the other side. But it just doesn't stop. Absolutely doesn't stop. You get a short break like this. We think we're lost. Well, Google is freaking out and 4x4 tracks are not very happy, and we are climbing a mountain like this for a long time.
To get to Aberdare National Park, which is game animals.
Look where we are. We are right on the very top of a. Don't look down. Don't look down.
Chimpanzees, man.
I think we're going to find gorillas. Actually, going into the clouds now, and we can't.
And I'm in first gear all the way.
First gear, we are going to the very top of the mountain. And Google still says we're going to be at Aberdare National Park in 3.5 kilometers or 2 something now. But look, we're going right into the clouds. You won't see us soon. And we are. Aberdare has highlands and lowlands. And we are in the highlands. We're going to try and walk up the mountain now to find some signal so that we can pay for coming in. But we have to take a gun, because there are elephant and we are in the clouds. It's incredible. Oh really? That when it's a good view, the mist comes up because we're over 3,000 meters high. Yeah, we've walked about a kilometer in order to get signal. It is freezing, but it's beautiful. Now that I know that I just kept thinking we're going to come to the end and there'd be nothing, and then we wouldn't be able to turn around. And you know how much I love heights and narrow roads on the edge of a mountain. But anyway, now I'm happy. Whew. So we're going down to our camp. So completely different to where we were this morning and yesterday. We are 3,200 meters high.
Just giving you a picture of the forest we're coming through with all this fern and lichen hanging from the trees. You're right up in the mountains here, but they get elephants and buffalo and all sorts of weird and wonderful animals.
We're right at the top of the mountain in Aberdare. And this is the Kururu waterfalls, which the guide said was the highest we think in Africa or East Africa. How much is it, Rory?
It's a 300-meter drop.
300 meters. It drops in 3 different steps. We walked down to the beautiful waterfall, but it's very, very misty. So we came down a hard road to get here, and there are 2 little ablution places there. And so we decided, rather than going way up that skiddy road again now while it's all misty and come back again tomorrow, we're going to wild camp here. Well done, 40. You have done an amazing job. You have pulled Rory and me and Braveheart up a mountain to something like 3,500 meters up, which we didn't expect, on a very little road, very windy little road, and then brought us down this road, which we were sort of told would be easy, and it is dreadful. Bumps and holes full of water and muddy. It'd be quite treacherous to try and go up there now as it's getting dark.
These are our Polish mates that have been with us in 3 parks here. We've seen them in Masai Mara. They've caught up with us at Nakuru and now here at Aberdare, and might have to pull us out of some difficult roads in a few moments. Great seeing you guys. Today's going to be the biggest challenge for the Toyota Fortuna and the Jurgen's Explorer camper. We're at the highest park in Kenya, which is called Aberdare Park. We're at 3,200 meters, and I went up 10 kilometers yesterday on a tar road at first gear. But we were then directed down to what is the highest falls in East Africa, which is called Karura Falls. And we were directed down a 3 or 4 kilometer road to come and see them. And once we were on the road, we realized it was a bad road. It was slippery and we were going downhill, but I couldn't turn the trailer around. So the challenge now is to pull a 1.5 ton camper up that road. There's also an additional problem that there are elephant and buffalo at this high altitude, which might block us on the road. Anyway, needless to say, we'll be praying every meter of the way. And if this is the last Instagram you get from us, you know we didn't make it. Over and out.
Now we're going through very heavy potholed mud. Ooh. Come on, girl, has she got through? Yep, she's through. This is one of our toughest that we're going up, but fortunately it's got rocks on it.
It's not too slippery.
Yeah. And it turns a corner and then it still goes up.
I'll stay with it.
Okay. I'll try. Come on, 40. Go, 40. Good boy. Go, 40. There's more to come.
Okay, we're over it, but there's a bit more to come.
Round this corner. Oh. Well done, boy. Yoskers. Yes, 40. Well done, boy. Well done, Braveheart. We are slipping.
Oh, started slipping there. Started slipping there.
Yoskers. I'm going to just take one moment to recognize that little caravan. Rory has aptly named her Braveheart.
Because we're high up in montane forest, look at all the beards growing on the trees. Often a sign that you're of high altitude. Thick forest. And there's some weird and wonderful animals that you find up here, but I think the chance of us seeing them is slim. What's amazing about this forest is that it looks a bit like where hobbits live. Everything's green and there's moss. And yet every now and then you see elephant damage or places where elephants have slid down or buffalo have slid down. I'm passing one now. I mean, what animals just come down there? But there's sticks all over and broken branches. And so somehow elephants and buffalo maintain a life here. Look at all, it's incredibly beautiful. Well worth the visit, but how do elephants and them survive here? The runnel here, look what's made of that, you see? It slid down there.
Amazing, some hours, a couple of hours later, and still, and having dropped a lot, we are still in mud and montane forest. It's very, very beautiful, but is quite testing in terms of driving at the moment because it's very, very slippery. We've got quite a nasty downhill climb now. We're in 4x4 just to help so we don't skid down this road. This beautiful road that we're on. This tree's got lovely flowers. So we are dropping down, but you can see we're still pretty high up in the mountains. Still coming down the mountain at Aberdare. Again, we're coming down a little lower, but you can still see We're very mountainous here, and we're coming across these beautiful little river. This river's been running all the way down next to the road.
And a touch of Scotland here.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. And then we're about to cross it. Rory's been hooting at these sheep. We've just come out of the park and we're still on this road. And these sheep
won't get off the road.
Don't actually run them over, Rory.
Well, we're going to have mutton for supper if they don't jump around now.
Driving through a little town on the way to Nairobi. We are in Kenya during campaigning time. And in every town you see these big trucks with different campaigning names on it, with big loudspeakers. But this is normal life, and this is a smallish town in Kenya. There's the tuk-tuks that we're seeing again. We can see them earlier on. Very popular in Tanzania, tuk-tuks everywhere.
Which is the road?
We're travelling on the road still from Nairobi to Amboseli. Last night, and it started getting a bit dark, so we picked up a wild camping spot. It was actually on iOverlander app, and found it. It's about 10 k's off the main road, and lovely flat piece of ground just on the edge of a road here, but nobody came past. Absolutely quiet and peaceful, right next to a lake.
When we came off the main tar road from Nairobi towards Amboseli and we turned onto the dirt road towards the Amboseli gate, we hit very heavy corrugations, so much so that all the vehicles would go onto the gullies on either side of the road and travel down the gully until they hit a culvert, then they'd return back for a short time onto the corrugated road. Doing this continually meant I put a lot of weight on my front right wheel, until eventually when I came onto the corrugated road after some kilometers, my front end collapsed all of a sudden, and I couldn't even get out of my front door. I had to climb out the passenger door. At that stage we contemplated using a flatbed to take my car back to Nairobi. But I phoned a mechanic friend of mine in Port Elizabeth, Peter Horseman, and initially the suggestion was that we get a portable welding machine to come and weld it in situ. But that couldn't have worked. We had to disassemble the whole thing. And so we sent message after message to the gate, and only 3 hours later did a ranger arrive with a Maasai man on a motorbike. In the interim, I had taken instructions from Peter how to disassemble this whole front end, and the motorbike rider then took the parts through onto the tar road and found a place where they could be welded together and a brace put in. He then returned about several hours later, and again on instruction from Peter, I put the whole thing back. And we ended up spending the night at the entrance to Amboseli National Park. That exercise took about 6 hours. I think we were on the dirt road, but it wasn't unpleasant, and we spent a lot of time chatting to the ranger. And that part held for the next 10,000 kilometers until I got back to Port Elizabeth. So we made lemonade out of lemons, and it wasn't as catastrophic as it could have been if we'd been in some sort of panic. So that's the story of our front end collapse.